Good afternoon, Advocate Bezuidenhout.
Good afternoon, Chief Justice.
Yes, for how long have you been an advocate before? Were you an advocate, a junior advocate before you became a senior?
About 21 years.
Before you became a senior?
Yes.
And for how long have you been a senior counsel?
7 years.
7 years. And all in all, for how long have you acted in the High Court?
Approximately 56 weeks.
Yes. Very briefly tell us why it should be you this time around. Just brag a little bit, or as much as you can.
I think I've obtained a lot of experience, right, basically as a practicing advocate and as an acting judge, that I've covered a wide field of the work that will arise in the KwaZulu-Natal division. I think I've worked hard, which I think is the norm that I normally do, both in practice and as I did as an acting judge. I've tried to, in each session, complete my judgments. If there is one that stood over, it was because it was at the end of a recess.
And for how long would it stand over?
The longest that I have had was 6 weeks. And in all the judgments that I've given, in all the times that I've acted since 2012, I've had 2 that have gone on appeal. Both have not been finalized. The one, I know, the one full court was heard during February this year, but I do not know if a judgment has been handed down yet. And I think I've tried to apply the law fairly, to try and treat everybody equal, and that I've also enjoyed doing it. I found it a very satisfying position to fill.
Thank you. JP?
Thank you, Chief Justice. It's quite obvious you have acted for, you say, 56 weeks. You are familiar with the division.
Yes.
You are familiar with the workload and the requirements.
Yes.
What would you say are the main challenges that the judges in KwaZulu-Natal face?
I think one of the main challenges is, especially in Peter Marritt's work, is the workload. There is, with the appeals that have to be done, the full court and the full bench appeals, it's a heavy workload, but it's an enjoyable workload. And then there's maybe a little bit of administrative things that it's not always all the administrative factors of maybe sometimes there's a bit of a problem with obtaining certain documents and stuff that you may need that from the registrar's office. Those are difficulties that I found.
And do you think you're up to the challenge of what is required of a High Court judge?
Yes, I do. I think I am up to it. And I hope that the times that I've acted has shown, too, that I have been able to cope with everything that was given to me to do.
It's quite obvious you are a white Afrikaner male.
Yes.
Do you think your appointment would get in the way or impede transformation of the bench?
I don't think it would to any great extent. There is, if one looks at KwaZN, there is, if my recollection is correct, there is 6 white male judges in the division. So percentage-wise, I don't think it would affect it to such a great extent. I also think that the transformation of the bench also to an extent, depends on your attitude on the bench, applying the Constitution, trying to assist everybody as much as you can, and that you can also assist transformation in that regard.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, JP. Premier?
Thank you very much, Chief Justice. The first question is, how do you think, if you get appointed as a judge, will you enhance the efficiencies of the division in the province?
I think it would be enhanced by the fact that I work hard. I will make sure that as much of the work as possible that will be done as quick as possible, that there shouldn't be backlogs. And in that way, it would enhance the efficiency of the courts, and one could also assist where one can any other of the judges to try and see if one can assist to make sure that the work gets done on a quicker basis.
But how will you do that in a province where there's already a shortage of judges in relation to
Yes,
the
there is
workload?
indeed, but you can take on a greater workload, and you can assist where, for instance, your cases on a certain day do not proceed. You could always go and take work from somebody else, which I have done, and assist in that way to make sure that those cases, at least then, that may not have also been finalized, and that they will indeed be finalized.
The second question is, how do you think your appointment will make the majority of the people in the province feel comfortable with you when you preside over a matter anywhere in the province?
I think is that I have support from many of the people in the profession. I also have support from many people outside the profession, that I'm known to be fair, to be humble, that I treat everybody equally, and I think that to an extent was shown by the letter that I was given by the BLA, where they clearly set out that I have tried to assist in my practice indigenous people as much as I could, that money was not the main factor always, and that I'm acceptable, I think, to the majority of the people.
If that is the case, how have you earned this reputation that you're talking about?
I think it's been basically just on my whole attitude of life, that everybody must be treated the same. Everybody is equal. Everybody needs to be treated with the same respect, irrespective of where you come from. That's been my philosophy in life that I've applied all the time. And I think it's through helping as well, when I could, when there's anybody that was indigent and I was approached, I was always prepared to help. I was always prepared to help my colleagues, junior advocates, people attending the bar, pupil members, as much as I could. By even if there were young people commencing, having to draft papers, they would bring me their papers. I would help them finalize the papers, make sure that they've done. So in that way, I've tried to contribute as much as I can. And I think that way we've all built up a relationship.
What's your assessment of accessibility of justice to the majority of the people, quite a significant number coming from rural areas, poor, and so on? What's your assessment?
Accessibility of judgment for a lot of people is difficult because it is a costly exercise for most people. But with the legal aid system, that has helped, and also then through the pro bono system, which helps. And then it depends on individuals too. And as I've stated, what I have tried, if people come to court and they have a cause, even if there is no money, then you do it. It's part of your duty to the community to assist. And that's the way that I've approached practice. And I think, although accessibility is a difficulty, it can be assisted by helping people either doing work pro bono or through the legal aid system.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Premier. Commissioner Helens.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Mr. Bezuidenhout, just like to put your practice into perspective. You're from a smaller bar, the Maritzburg bar.
Yes,
You've been in practice for 31 years,
yes.
and since 2009 as a silk. What that means, speaking from the perspective of the profession, at a smaller bar, generally practitioners have to do a wider range of work.
Yes,
So that it would therefore be so that, unlike perhaps some practitioners in Johannesburg who might specialize in insolvency, for example, at a smaller bar, because it's smaller, you specialize generally.
yes, very much so. About the most that you can specialize in Pietermaritzburg is between civil and criminal.
Yeah.
It's so you do a wide variety of work.
And that contributes to the broad base of your experience.
Yes,
I'm trying to sketch the person you are for those who don't know how practice works. And then in your practice, you have done both criminal and civil work, motion and trial.
yes, done.
In fact, if I'm not mistaken, you're fairly well known, not so much in civil, not in civil, but you know crime, you know criminal work.
Yes, yes. I've just done end of last year. I did a murder trial in the High Court again when I appeared. So I
Yeah.
still do a bit of that as well.
I think that's all I needed to put into perspective.
Commissioner Singh.
Thank you very much, and good day, Advocate Bezuidenhout. I just have one question. In your acting stint that you presided, was it always in Pietermaritzburg or Durban, or were you asked to go to any circuit court? And I don't know if acting judges are sent out to circuit courts.
Yeah. Mainly, it seems that circuit courts have not been for acting judges, in my experience, but I may be wrong. The judge president would know better. But my stints have all been in Maritzburg. All my acting appointments have been in Pietermaritzburg.
And just to follow up, if you are appointed and you're asked to go to Tuba or Nongoma, wherever there's a court sitting, would you be amenable to that kind of
Yes,
thing?
I've got absolutely no problem with that. In my practice, I travel quite widely, and in my younger days, circuit courts was actually where I spent a lot of time.
You are excused,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.